Hey, welcome to the Sports Reverends podcast. My name is Dan. I'm joined with my big bro. His name's Joel, but we know him as the coach. He has coached in many places. I've had some pretty elite coaches along the way. I've had my junior Bison's coach. His name is Brian Gray. He held for a long time many records. University of Manitoba. The coach beside me right here is better than him.
Wow,
yeah, this is a big deal, and
that's some high praise.
we have some fun for you today. We are one sports reverend down. Our brother from another mother is not joining us again. I got to meet our buddy Drew, this week in Winnipeg, and I have to say, we went to the golf dome, and just from the golf dome, you can tell he's pretty elite at golfing. And I have to give him some props too. He gave me maybe 3 tips on how to improve my swing, and it drastically changed how I was able to even aim the ball pretty well. Now Drew can aim it like low and high and curve it and have the spin on it so it stops on the ground. But yeah, that's how good he is. It's pretty impressive. I was very impressed with this guy.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing you went out there. Got to shovel some snow, got to hang out with Dad, and working on beating your golf game. It's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, it was not bad at all. But we got some fun stuff for all of you today. Coach, why don't you just give us a rundown of the show?
Yeah, absolutely. We will run through our quick hitters as usual. Go talk about the NBA. We've finally come back, and lots of fun things to talk about. Maybe dip our toes into the NFL as we are, I guess, officially at the halfway point. That's kind of weird. Yeah, halfway point of the season, and then we're gonna talk about something that's really interesting, something that ties well to sport, but also to life. Is how do you respond to adversity, and are you gonna crumple or are you gonna bounce back? So let's get rolling. When you start us off with our first quick hitter, Dan.
Quick hitter news. The Texas Rangers win the 2022-2023 World Series 4-1 over the Diamondbacks.
There you go. Probably not the biggest draw on TV either. The Rams. The Rams are signing our good friend Carson Wentz
Desperate
as a
times.
desperate times indeed.
Titans name Will Levis as their QB1 for the rest of the year.
Hey man,
Tannehill to the bench.
Tannehill's on his way out. In Champions League news, I saved this one for me and not for you. Shakhtar Donetsk defeats Barcelona today in a shock upset, and AC Milan upsets PSG in the San Siro.
Soccer. Big Ten informs Michigan University discipline is a possibility for sign stealing. Probably won't go back to Mr. Harborough himself. He'll have a couple scapegoats, but hey, it is what it is. Let's handle some business. Yeah, that's right. Let's handle some business. Urban Hope is our mentorship program that I get to run in downtown Toronto. We get to help kids that are in some pretty tough situations in life, give them opportunities and skills and a safe place for them to be as well. And that's what Urban Hope's all about. And we get to develop these kids and provide as many opportunities as we can for them to succeed in this life. And some of the ventures that we do is we're starting a basketball program, not even just a team now. We're working on a program where a coach is going to be leading our teams, and he's going to teach them skills for on the court and for life off the court. And that's kind of the theme of what we're even talking about here today when we talk about handling adversity. And so as we build into these kids, if you're able to support in any kind of way, check out thesportsreverends.com/sponsorships. Link will be in our YouTube bio as well if you want to click there directly. And if you live in Canada, if you give over $20, you will receive a tax receipt for it as well. So anything that you can do to help support this program, help support kids having a safe place to hang out during the week, and for different programs for them to strive and succeed, please do so. Please help out in any way. All right, Coach, lead us.
Awesome. Yeah, great program, great time. Let's roll in here. we're kind of in the middle of or start of basketball season, but there's no basketball on today. Do you know why?
Rare occasion where there's no basketball in the middle of the, or not the middle of, but the start of the season. Tuesday on, I guess it's November 7th today. It's election day in the United States, and I guess they've decided um, this is supposed to be a day where everyone is supposed to go out and vote, and the NBA is a distraction for that. Even though everyone would get a free opportunity from their work to go and vote, and everyone can get it done beforehand. Maybe the NBA players, maybe all 450 of them are actually going to vote in their local elections. Who knows? Who knows? My prediction is that there's still going to be no NBA basketball tonight and still an extremely low vote count. But what I think the
I
NBA was really doing was giving the sport. I think we're picking up a little bit of steam. The sports reverends, they knew that we were recording today, so they wanted to give us an opportunity to record without any distraction. So we get center stage.
I think you were to put a parlay on voting turnout and NBA voters being low, it's gonna probably be a good bet there. But we are recording today. We are here.
Do
Let's
you
start
think? Do
with
you
a
think
hot.
220 NBA players are voting?
No, most of these guys don't even know who's a Democrat, what's a Republican. Like they don't even know who's in their writing. Okay, all they know is they get paid, some taxes get taken off, and that's a different story altogether. So
What about next year when it's like the presidential vote?
those vote for whoever their team tell them to vote for.
I know, but will they
That's
vote?
what probably not.
Probably not.
You'll have LeBron James have the voting card upside down, looking at it, taking a picture on his Insta. That'll probably happen. We probably have Steph Curry complaining about homeless people by his home, uh, but then vote for the people who want to make more homeless people. And you might have Jimmy Butler vote for somebody random because he is just one of those guys who just does whatever he wants. So I think you'll have some guys vote. A lot of guys will not have any idea who they're voting for and will not care.
Whew.
So
I don't think. I
that's
don't
your
even
hot
think that's
take
a.
for today.
I was just gonna say I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's
No,
just reality. So
that's just reality. Let's swing to basketball. Get out of politics for now. We can always talk about that a little later. The NBA in season tourney. If you had to think of just a few thoughts off the top of your head about it, what would they be and why?
yeah, I think it's just an idea to add some more excitement to the November, the kind of dry spell in the NBA season. It's definitely given these guys a little bit more, urge to compete. We've had one internee game. It was this last Friday. Internee day of games. They happen on Tuesdays and Fridays throughout the month of November, and then the playoff is in the early December there. So I think it's made it fun. The courts are a little bit wild. It kind of burns your retinas. Watching that Bulls game, I think it was, is the red court was like, really tough on the eyes, and I didn't mind the blues so much. Dad didn't like any of them at all. But yeah, the bright courts, that's an NBA season, in-season tournament game. NBA Cup, I think it gives people something to compete for. I like it. I like that there's more things to win. So, and if it encourages these guys to play, because the chartered flights and the spread out games and the giant salaries that they have isn't enough for them to play. Hopefully, this encourages them, because I think the NBA wants to. They have a new TV contract coming up at the end of the year, so I think this is all
Yep.
in play to triple the TV contract, and
Oh,
it
absolutely.
probably will happen. So I think there's motivation there for the stars to come out and play, and I like it.
I will say this. I didn't think it would be this big of a deal. I like the court. I like the city jerseys. We've seen a lot of big matchups early in the season, and that's generated some buzz. It's also pushed the players to say, especially in the West, to say, "Yo, we got to step up and win some of these early games because come January, come February, come March, when you're slogging against these same teams in the West, you're gonna be thankful you've racked up a few wins early on." So I think it's a cool idea. I know some people are saying. I know a couple guys at work were like, an in-season tourney. That means the NBA is not really uh, drawing interest. But I'm like, we're talking about it. People are hyped for it.
Yeah.
I think the jersey sales are going to drive a lot of things, and
Hmm.
we'll go from there. Interesting to see who wins the inaugural NBA Cup and how that goes. But
We want a fun
the
fact.
finals in Vegas. Go ahead.
Who? I'll ask you a trivia question. Who was the
Oh
first
boy.
person to score the first ever points for the NBA in-season
Oh,
tournament?
I know this one. It was a dunk.
It's from the Pacers game.
I want to say Miles Turner.
Miles Turner, absolutely bang on.
Pow!
Wow,
Bingo.
that's good. Good for you.
I
Was
I knew it was a
absolutely a
dunk.
dunk. Yeah, first points
That's
ever.
it's a toilet time reading there for you.
There you go.
Like that got me the stats. Cool. Yeah, so I think it's cool. Of course, I didn't expect Dad to like it. The court colors are crazy, but I love the OLED. I love the OLED and it makes watching a little more fun.
Yeah.
Um, let's shift gears here. Embiid's put up some big numbers. We've seen Zach LaVine drop 50 out of nowhere with zero assists. Giannis is putting up some big numbers. Stars are out there gunning. But the main man, Jokic, continues to fly under the radar. His team is top in the West at 7-1. He's averaging over those 8 games almost 29 points, almost 13 rebounds, and 8.5 assists. And yet everybody's talking about everybody but Jokic. They're making excuses. What's your take on that?
It's it's just incredible that Jokic is by far clear cut without question the best player in the NBA. Statistically, by
Mm-hmm.
all the advanced analytics, and he is just absolutely dominant, totally going under the radar. It's just coming off a championship, Finals MVP, and he's just being overlooked again and again and again. And now Jamal Murray's hurt. He still came through with a 30-point triple double, giant win. Like this guy is unbelievable. He does it all,
Yeah, he's a baller.
and he just man. Denver plays the right way. Give coach to Coach Malone.
Yeah,
Give props to Coach Malone, and wow, just incredible. It's sad to see that he is being so overlooked.
yeah, it's not great, but he probably likes it that way. He probably doesn't care. At the end of the day, if he's the last man standing, it doesn't matter.
I think it might
Um,
be fuel for him for sure, though. Inside, I feel like it drives him to like just dominate because he's dominating.
I think as a competitor, you know when people are underappreciating you and undervaluing you, and you can step up. I know you've done this in your games. I've done this for mine, and you just seize the moment and you go for it. So yeah, I think he's probably using it feel. He'll pretend he doesn't speak English, not give many interviews, and just do his thing, joke around, and then just keep winning. But Jamal Murray's got to get healthy.
Yeah,
You got to stay healthy if this team is going to go anywhere, because it can't just be Jokic on his own. Michael Porter has been
good.
inconsistent. He's got to play better and take better shots. But this team really runs through Jokic for sure. Um, in the second slot in the West, it's Dallas. Who would have thought that this Luca Kyrie pairing would be this amazing?
Well, it's just like they retooled. They put the players around Luca and Kyrie that really fit. They're their
Yeah,
best. They're the top in the league for 3-point shooting. Grant Williams has added a good level of toughness on the defensive end, and
yeah,
you got to give them props. Like Luca and Kyrie, they're balling out together. Like they're really like gelling. And when Luca comes out of the game, Kyrie's holding it down, and
just cooks.
he's just like I am I'm so split on Kyrie because like obviously I don't love him, but I love his game. I love the way he
Yeah,
plays. Like he's an incredible player. He's very underrated right now. This
yeah,
Mavs team is dangerous.
yeah. Luca's averaging almost 32 points a game. He's hitting almost 10 rebounds, 9 assists, and he's playing about 38 minutes, 37 minutes.
That's a
So
lot.
the dude's playing. He's sharing the ball way more.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was a lot of Luka dominating the ball and then, you know, maybe doing his own thing, maybe getting a good pass off. But now we've got some weapons. Kyrie comes in, they're lighting it up. The real question is, come playoff time, can they play defense enough? Um, just get the stops when they need uh, to succeed because their biggest hurdle is going to be Denver.
Yep.
Golden State doesn't play defense. Minnesota can barely play offense, and the Clippers definitely cannot play defense. So,
If they can keep their
uh,
17 3-pointers a
yeah,
game, potentially,
you're gonna win.
they're
Yeah,
gonna win. Like they're gonna be good at
I
least.
just
So
you just gotta get those stops. Um, let's flip over to our wonder kid, who's no longer a kid, Anthony Davis. He was supposed to be the linchpin of the Lakers this year. It was his team, anointed by LeBron. We've seen this. We've seen the minutes restrictions go out the window after Game One, basically. We've seen the same issues that plague LeBron and coaches continue to occur. And Anthony Davis, who was supposed to step up, be the guy, has really wilted over the last 7 games as the Lakers sit 3-4 and in the ninth, 10th spot in the West. Give us your take on AD.
he's back to being street clothes, known as street clothes, because he's always wearing street clothes. He's hurt again,
Yep.
and the hype that goes around AD is just incredible. He's supposed to be this top tier player, but when LeBron's not in the game, the Lakers are awful. That's why LeBron is playing 35 plus minutes a night. And that's going to just take
Yeah.
a toll on this soon to be 39-year-old, 20th year in the league, LeBron James.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to be able to sustain. Anthony Davis needs to step up, become a dominant player that he's, I think, capable of being. Maybe they need some more help though. Maybe they got to make some moves. I'm not sure. I don't know about this Laker team.
Anthony Davis has all the tools in the world. He doesn't have the drive. And you can see that because he won his one championship. He played great. He balled out, did his thing, and then that's it. He's been hurt, going back to the things. There's been stories about how he doesn't train that hard in the off season. And this kind of reminds me of Dwight and Kobe. When, Dwight comes in, he's supposed to, help really elevate the Laker team and Kobe, and
Defensive player of
he's
the
just goofy,
year.
right?
Yeah.
He's just goofy. He's not taking it serious, and Kobe loses his mind. Now LeBron's not going to do that because LeBron's won enough rings, and I think LeBron right now is just playing to keep his legacy alive, get more points, right? And then play with Bronny next year, who's probably not even that good, but that's a different story. Um, so LeBron James is kind of mailing it in. I think he's still not that he's not playing hard, but for him, his legacy is he's the GOAT in his mind. Nothing can change that. Anthony Davis is going to be a big what if
I just don't know.
always.
You think LeBron is gonna settle for another season like last year? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think he cares. He's making so much money. He's in LA building his empire, his business empire, or so he thinks, right? He goes through this year. He's done his contract. Bronny gets drafted by whomever. He goes, signs there, and that's it.
I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. That's tough.
I
That's
don't know.
tough.
I just don't see it. The Lakers are 3-4. If LeBron James really cared, if he really, really, really cared, they would not be 3-4.
I don't. He's playing all those minutes. Like he's
Yeah,
give him
but
credit.
it's effectiveness. It's effectiveness.
Yeah,
The dude's 38.
when he's on the floor, they are winning. As soon as he comes off the floor, they are awful.
He's playing almost. Let's just play. He plays 35 minutes. He plays 35 minutes. How many minutes are in the game?
48.
So for 13 minutes, you're telling me they cannot keep this?
They are that bad. They are
That's
that
that's what
bad.
I'm. That's what I'm like. It's mind-boggling. He made a lot. It's the same situation. He made a lot of decisions
Yeah.
on players. Guys got to step up, and I don't think you're going to see Anthony Davis take over for those 13 minutes.
Do you move
You're
him?
not.
Do you move him?
Who's gonna? I mean, what would you take? You need a center.
I don't know. I don't know.
But I'll say this: a Luka AD pairing might not be so bad.
Oh, what? AD pairing?
A Luka AD pairing,
Whew. Yeah,
just the lobs, just the lobs, just
something
you
special.
know, nothing special. I
That'd be
think one of the
something
biggest
special, yeah.
surprises continues to be the Raptors. Not really; they're inconsistent. As you said, they're mid. I don't even know. They beat the Bucks, lose to Philly the next night. I know there is a lot of transition with a new coach, probably definitely a new offense. But can this team be anything other than a 7, 8, or 9 seed?
Uh, I don't know about the record. Like they may they if they put things together even at their peak and they make it to fifth or sixth, they're still probably if they're probably a first round exit, if at best second round exit. Right, that's the
Yeah,
maximum capacity for them right now. But with that being said,
yeah.
everyone's just on the quick scale to ship off players, but I don't know if there's enough value back for shipping off said players. Example Siakam. Example OG Ananobi. Um, I don't know what the point would be to ship off OG Ananobi is because he's young and he's your all NBA
Yeah.
defensive player. So it's Siakam that you're gonna move. And what are you gonna get back for Siakam?
Here's my counter for that. Okay. Here's my counter. Dame Lillard said, I'm only going to Miami. That was it. I'm
Okay.
only going to Miami. You figure it out. Portland did a tremendous job giving back players, pick swaps from random teams that Lillard had no interest in going to, based on, what we know of. So there is a way to do it. I think Masai has got to get creative. I think he overvalues Trent. Maybe he overvalues Siakam, but we know Siakam's not a 1A. I think we can agree that Siakam is not the guy who's going to take you over the top. Now, how many guys out there are? Not that many. We know this. But you have to be creative and say, okay, if I get a couple good young guys and a couple picks, because the Raptors don't have a lot of draft picks either, right? Restock the cabinet. Scotty Barnes is making a big leap,
That's my point.
right? You got Scotty, you got OG. You still need a point guard. Schroeder's
Schroeder's been
a
okay.
good band-aid
Schroeder's been pretty
solution.
good.
He's a good band-aid solution, right? But after Schroeder, Malachi Flynn's got to go,
Yeah, they need a backup point guard.
right? You need a backup.
Or if
So
Schroeder becomes the backup.
yeah, right. So you have some pieces. I still think Pirtle is a good, big for the NBA. He's not going to ask for a lot of touches. He'll do this thing. I think they are asking a little too much for him to pass the ball so much. But I think you got to move Siakam, and you got to get past the core that won the championship. Because
My
look at Fred. Fred goes. Fred goes. Scotty's just like I'm not saying that Fred held Scotty down, but it creates more opportunity for Scotty now to move the ball, do something a little different, right? So do you move Siakam? I wanted to move him last year or the year before that. I think you're kind of stuck with him right now.
yeah, 2 years ago, yes.
Yeah,
If you could read into the future, yes. But my point is like, okay, just give it some time too. Like they're 7 games in, they got a new coach. Scotty's
sure.
ascending, and let's say we wait a year or even 2 years to see where Scotty's at, and we're gonna be mediocre for the next 2 years, still having a winning culture minus the playoffs, and let's see where Scotty goes, right? Because you can't
But
really. I don't think you're gonna find another replacement guy for Siakam or OG.
I think you got to keep OG. I think Siakam is just doesn't fit the pieces.
He's only 28, 29, right?
These guys are 21, 22.
OG's 25. So, like, even if Siakam
Sure.
is 2 years from now 30, 31, that's young. That's prime.
But the problem is, this is where the major problem is going to be. You're going to have to pay him a ton of money next year,
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, if you can
right?
work out a contract with him, that's good. Then
And there's no
same with
chance he's
OG.
taking. Yeah, there's no chance Siakam's taking a big pay cut to
Yeah,
stay in Toronto.
yeah.
That's going to be the biggest problem. So if you're Masai, you got to think, okay, do I pay Siakam, have a mediocre 2, 3 years, and then try and trade him down the line, or do I cut him now, free up some cap space, find a couple pieces, and make a run with some young guys? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I I think they're too late with the Siakam piece, but you can't pay him max money.
So
Even with the NBA contract, TV contract coming up,
if
you pay him max money, you lock in for mediocrity.
he's not on route to being a All NBA player, but if he got All NBA again this year, he could be
Yeah.
making 300 million a contract, 60 million a year.
Isn't that's just absolutely insane?
Oh.
He's making more than Dame Lillard.
Yeah, but Jalen Brown is doing that right
Yeah,
now.
that's a dumb contract too.
So that's just what
But
it is. That's the world we live in. Jalen
all
Brown,
right,
305 million.
yeah. Well, Tatum's gonna get paid too.
Yeah,
Let's move on to the last piece here. My Spurs, Victor Wembanyama.
Slender Man, Slender Man.
Man,
He is something
unreal.
special though. He is special, and Spurs just have to be patient, patient, patient,
Yeah,
patient. Let him play, let him grow, give him time. The Vassell
let them
piece,
make mistakes.
Vassell is a nice player. I haven't watched any Spurs over the last few years,
Yeah,
and some of their pieces are pretty good. So
yeah. They just gotta stop playing the Jeremy Sochan at point guard in their big lineups. Makes zero sense.
yeah,
Free Trey, free Trey. But honestly, Wembanyama has done more than I expected. But also Chet Holmgren
oof,
coming back off the foot injury,
yeah,
he's making a case for Rookie of the Year.
mm-hmm,
He's playing saying, "Hey, it's not just a Victor show,"
yeah. He's not the only
and
Slender Man out there.
he, it's weird to see these guys super thin just go in there and do what they're doing. Like it just doesn't look right.
No,
I saw a picture of Kevin Durant standing beside Victor, and I was like, "Who's this short guy on the court?"
it's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I think, as always, the young guys are coming up, and you never expected because growing up it was like, okay, there's Jordan, and now there was a gap, and then Kobe came in, and then all those guys, then now LeBron, and you don't ever think there's going to be the next generation who's really going to live up to the hype.
Yeah,
Guys are coming in.
yeah.
Guys are coming in. So I think the future of basketball is looking really good. Um, but we just need to see. Again, Spurs are probably not going to be anywhere near. They might sniff the play in. I think
Maybe.
they might, right? Maybe the Clippers get hurt. Maybe some of the Lakers get hurt, bumps them down a bit. They go on a run. Like you never know. But you gotta be patient. I think that's gonna be patient, and we'll go from there. Um, Anything else you want to touch on before we flip to the NFL and breeze through this?
Nope. Let's just let's quickly breeze.
Okay, top three in the NFL and the NFC: Philly, Detroit, San Francisco. Who surprises you and why?
Um, can you put San Francisco up there right now? three
Based
game,
on the record, they're top three.
three game losing skid. They're
Yeah, not great.
they're tied with the Cowboys as a record. And
Basing on the schedule, that's all I'm saying. But they beat the Cowboys. That's why they're ahead of them. Come on.
okay, yeah. I think Philly and I think the NFC. All the teams that are top teams are
Yeah.
flawed. They're not. They see major flaws in them, and it's going to be I think it's going to be totally up in the air of who's going to come out on top because there's major flaws in all. I'm going to put all
Yes.
four of them in there. I'm going to throw the Cowboys in there as well.
All
But
right. All right.
yeah, we'll see. I think Detroit might look like the most complete team.
Yeah. My only concern with Detroit is that they might be like the Vikings last year, right? The Vikings won a lot of, I mean, not that they won close games a ton, but the Vikings won a ton of one score games and they got dummied in the playoffs.
And we'll see how San Fran looks when Debo's back. I think he's back this
Yeah,
week. So
yeah.
maybe they bounce
That,
back. Maybe he is the key to their offense as people aren't talking about him.
and they traded for another defensive player. So um, again, it's still
GP.
early. It's
Yeah.
still early. Um, I think Philly looks the best in the NFC for sure, but there's everybody's got opportunities. Based on the record, top three in the AFC: KC, Baltimore, and Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Jacksonville. They've not looked great all year.
No,
Something looks off with Mr. Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence. Um, but yeah, like Baltimore looks absolutely unbelievable right now. They are
yeah,
not only like their winning margin is huge. Their analytics, advanced analytics, show them as the most superior team in the NFL. Their defense is as good as that Ray
that,
Lewis defense.
yeah.
Like, that's how
They are something
crazy
else.
that is. So
They're
they're
something else.
scary. They're scary. I'm scared of Baltimore.
I think no, is this the second season Lamar Jackson had his contract or first?
Great question. I think it's his
Yeah,
second.
I think the second. Yeah, Lamar's having a bounce back season.
Yeah.
Like he's playing really, really well. The Chiefs seem a little off. Maybe it's more some of that Taylor Swift drama, but also it's probably just like a hangover of just being good for so long, right? You don't really see that too often in the NFL, but they're still,
They're
winning games.
first time they've ever had a good defense. This is like
Yeah,
the Chiefs
but
defense is really good. So that's what makes them scary to me because they still have
but
Mahomes.
Denver, Denver though, come on,
Yeah, everyone it's
come
the
on.
NFL. It happens. It
I
happens.
know, I know, it's parody, but yeah, I think NFL we're kind of hitting that mid-season lull. Had the trade deadline go through, maybe some pickups later in the year, but we'll see how this race to the finish happens. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be exciting. I think the top dogs are gonna beat each other up a little bit. Somebody could sneak in.
Like I still think
Um,
Cincy and the Bills, I'm like they're nasty.
yeah, yeah. And Houston's making a run as well. So I'll give you this. I'll give you this last topic before that we pay some more bills. CJ Stroud.
Come on, man. This guy unbelievable. Like overcoming all the rookie kind of
Yeah.
ideology. He is unbelievable, and what makes him so fascinating to us and hopefully others as well is that his faith is so strong, and
Yeah.
he's really open about sharing about it, about how it's really impacted him and how it's actually helped him level up, and how whenever things are even going on in his life that it's his faith in Christ that kind of helps him bounce back to where God has given him this platform to use. And I think that's really exciting. I'm wishing him the absolute best. Definitely, that's a jersey I would go out and buy because I'm a huge fan.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I want to say this carefully because I don't want to put other people down, but he seems very genuine in what he's saying and what he's bringing to the table, right? And you don't see that a lot from young guys, right? And I think that's really cool. The faith aspect is huge, and I think it's a great example for young people all over the world. And I think what that ties greatly into adversity, kind of our next topic here. The real talk piece of the best part of the pod, I think, is how do you, as a athlete, and let's start. Let's not start with the athlete part. Let's start with the man part, the person part. How do you deal with adversity? Right? We have all sorts of sports heroes, all sorts of stories. We can list about starting from the bottom, coming to the top, um, getting injured, making recovery, going through addiction, things like that. But in reality, in the world we're living in today, especially as a Christian, there's tons of adversity, and you can mispronounce something, and all of a sudden there's a huge issue about it. Let's talk to yourself. Talk about yourself first. You can choose to talk about it as a pastor or just as a man individually, like whatever you want to start off. I'll let you table that.
Yeah, I guess when you look at overcoming adversity, it's like it does start off with how you're raised as a man, and as a Christian man, I think first and foremost we know our strength comes from God, right? And
Yeah.
we see what I see around, and I look to college football. I saw Caleb Williams is supposed to be the next Patrick Mahomes, supposed to be the next great quarterback coming up, and what I saw is a post about Caleb Williams after a loss this last Saturday, I believe it was. He was up in the stands, and his mom covered him with his poster, and he's crying to his mom about after the loss. And to me, I was like, a lot of people are looking at this like saying, "Oh, he's so in tune with his emotions. He's got so much ahead of him." And to me, that's like that's not a great way to lead. He's the leader of all these guys. He's the
Yeah.
leader. He's the captain of the team. And you took a loss, but how do you respond? How do you bounce back from that loss? Are you crying to your mama, or are you gonna say, okay, let's get back to work. Let's go do what we got to do to achieve the goals of what we're called to achieve, of what we're able to achieve. And I think that's a lost kind of art in coaching today. I think you may find it hard coaching some of these kids from the Esplanade, because if you go in with a Bobby Knight kind of mentality, chucking chairs and you're screaming,
Yeah.
they don't know how to respond that way. And I think that
Yeah.
starts with the character of how they've been raised, how they've been taught, and what they've learned. I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah. I think great points, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It comes up to partially is how you're raised. There's a nature versus nurture part, but it's also how you as an individual want to push yourself, right? For those of you who don't know, look up Ben Carson, read his story. That's somebody going through adversity and moving to heights he probably couldn't even imagine, right? And it comes, yeah, and having a relationship with God as your foundation is doesn't I'm not saying it makes it easier, but it gives you a hope, right? There's gonna be whether you're a Christian or not, there's going to be dark days. You're gonna have adversity. There are gonna be things that don't go your way. Maybe you don't get promoted. Maybe your boss puts you down. Maybe your spouse leaves you. Maybe somebody in your family dies. Something is gonna happen, and you're gonna be hurt. And we're not saying you can't feel. We're not saying you can't work through your emotions, but it's what you do after and through that to move forward, if you move forward, which is what we're talking about. There's so many stories where athletes, actors, celebrities uh, go through adversity and they start doing drugs, drinking, and fall off the face of the earth, right? It's way harder to face adversity and to move forward and to progress and to get better and to stand up again. That it is, it's more of a challenge. And society we live in today, everybody wants things handed to them. Free tuition, free this, free that. And no one wants to work for anything. I saw a TikTok the other day where a girl was crying because she got her bachelor's in commerce in marketing and she couldn't get a $200,000 job. Are you kidding me? You didn't earn that. They don't just hand those out left, right, and center. You have to work hard. You have to dig deep and you have to battle through things, whether it is sports or not, to achieve your goals. And that's why I love playing team sports. I love coaching team sports. And I love incorporating, God into that because it teaches you teamwork. It teaches you understanding value of both leaders and your peers. It teaches you responsibility, structure, and it helps you understand how to deal with problems when life comes at you. In my job, I'm a manager. And to be completely honest, I just base it on everything I've learned playing sports, how to talk to people, how to push certain people, how not to push certain people, how to drive results. I just take what I did on the basketball court when I learned on the basketball court and apply it in life. Now, I'm not really screaming at kids at work where, saying, you did this wrong. I'm not, saying hustle, 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 but it's about how to push somebody and how to drive somebody. And it starts with how do you drive yourself? And if you have an attitude of woe is me, nothing is good, I can't do anything, you're not gonna go you're not gonna go to where you want to be, and you're also not gonna accomplish what God has in store for you.
It's good.
So yeah,
No, that's really good. And to touch on a couple of things you said, like I want to highlight is you see the best athletes, they put in their work in the times where no one's looking, right? They put in their
yeah,
hardest work in the off season, and they put in their work when none of the cameras are on them, and that's when they see their growth. That's how they become so elite at what they do. The same thing actually
yeah,
goes towards your walk with God and working on yourself and working on all that you do. You have to put that work in as well. What are you going to do when no one's watching? What
yeah,
standards are you going to live by? And that's an encouragement for everyone to actually put the work in to build your character, to build your ability to prepare for when adversity comes, so you can stand firm. You can stand on what you believe in. You can stand in what you know, and your roots of how to navigate through different difficult situations.
yeah, absolutely. And it ties to what we've been talking about all the way through. You know, resetting your faith, doing your devotions, and I think there's a story in the Bible where Jesus is talking about don't be like the Pharisees, who pray in the streets and who say, "Hey, well, look at me." It's your prayer closet. And I think it's exactly right. You focus on the things that you need to focus on internally. You don't need to share that with everybody. Don't have to put it on Instagram saying, "Hey, day 42 of reading my Bible." Then you're not doing it for the right reasons. You focus on building your character, building your relationships, building what's important, and the rest will come. Even if you're poor, even if you lose your job, even if you get into a car accident, or even if you have a baby or you do something that's positive, right? Adversity also, there's also positive things that happen. Regardless of it, God is the same. Whether you're going through a tough time or whether you're going through a good time, He's unchanging. And I can't remember how this came up, but like you should give thanks to God when good things happen. I think that's easy to do. Giving thanks to God when tough times are happening, that's way harder, right? And I encourage everybody listening, when you're facing a difficulty, yes, sit down, emote, get the emotions out, but then don't wallow in that. Wallowing in that, and for those of you who are younger, sitting in it or just thinking about it only, not progressing and not looking at what can I do to get better is going to just hold you back. If you get dumped by a girl, okay, life happens. Maybe go to the gym. Don't watch 6 hours of Netflix. Make one change. Like when one of the hardest times for me was going through my divorce. And when that first happened, I was shook. I was out. I was depressed, and I'll remember this for the rest of my life. Mom said to me one thing: I don't know how to help you. I know you trust God, and you have to work through that. But just start with doing one positive thing in your day. Make your bed. And I sat there and was like, "That's stupid. You didn't make my bed." But the next day, I got up and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna make my bed." And then from there, it was okay. What's the next thing? Okay, when I have a shower, and I'm just gonna sit and whatever. And it builds and it builds and it builds. And what you're doing is you're building good habits, but you're also building wins. Your life isn't going to change necessarily immediately. There's going to be some hard work that you have to do. Sometimes God works miracles and addictions are cured and diseases are healed. And all of a sudden, the promotion comes And we talk about Ernest and his testimonies, right? There's miracles that happen, but there's times where God is using difficult times to teach you something. So they're going to last a little longer. And that's when you got to be faithful. That's where you got to be obedient. That's where you got to build your foundation. So if you are here going through a tough time and you're thinking to yourself, oh, no one knows what I'm going through, there's 7 billion people in this world plus. You're not the only one who feels that way. And I don't say that to diminish how you're feeling. I say that to say you have people who want to help you, you have people who love you, you have a God above who wants to take care of you, but you have to put in some work. And once you start putting in that work, it feels less and less like work. And then all of a sudden, you just turn around one day and be like, wow, this is where I've come. Be encouraged. When you have adversity, God is on your side.
And I'll just echo what you're saying. And I won't give you an example from us. If you want to hear from someone other than us, maybe you just love sports and you want to hear from one of your favorite athletes or one of the athletes that have had such great success. I was so encouraged this last week by a guy named Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins,
Mhm.
who had his ACL torn this year, his whole life just been flipped upside down. He's had a few now, after gathering himself and understanding that there's going to be some changes towards this, probably the rest of his career. He's been sharing about, you know this Sunday, I get to throw to my the only ball I'm going to be throwing is to my kids, and I thank
Yeah,
God for that. I thank God in my suffering, he said, where these challenges come, but I know there's a purpose and plan. He's seen me through it before. He's going to see me through it again. Glory to God. That was his post, and he's done it about 4 times, and it's just been so encouraging to me because
yeah,
imagine having
absolutely.
your whole life turned. Your whole city loves you and expects things from you, and then tear your ACL, but yet he
Yeah,
thanks God in his suffering. Like, I think that's amazing.
yeah, I think that's awesome. Um, are there anything? Is there any kind of practical things you can suggest for someone who's facing adversity to try and do to move forward and build on that?
Yeah, my encouragement is always don't try to overcome it on your own. A lot of people tend to,
Yeah,
go to yourself, saying, I'm gonna eventually outpower this, and you don't have to do it that way. You got
yeah,
churches that you can connect with, and they have these things called life groups or Bible studies where you can get connected with, where you do life with people, and they'll encourage you, and they'll actually look at the living word where it'll actually speak to you and speak life into you. And I believe that with my whole heart. And so I encourage people to don't just go into solitary. Find a community that can support you. And I always encourage you to find a church if you don't go to one. And if you go to one, find a life group where you can actually do life together with someone. Because I'm telling you, it's the most uplifting thing to do.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, yeah, I think that's a great segue to get involved. It's part of the themes we're talking about here in the last since we started our new season. Um, but if you know somebody who's going through adversity or you yourself are going through adversity, reach out. Don't be silent. Remember, you're not alone. God is there for you. Um, hit us up on our socials, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, for all you old heads who use Facebook. Um, and I'm sure we can find somebody for you to connect with if you need help.
Throughout the whole
Uh,
North America, we can point you to a church
yeah,
that you'll get connected with, that you will feel comfortable with, and so you can message us for
and
sure.
Malaysia.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. It's always private. Um, but on the sports side, YouTube, Twitter, or sorry, X, my bad, X, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe, and if you have a good idea of what you want to hear about, reach out. We love to interact with you guys, and it's always more fun that way. So that's all I got, guys. Peace.
can I give 3 quick shout outs before we go?
Yes.
I just want to give a
Yeah.
shout out to our brother from Orlando Magic, Jonathan Isaac, who's releasing
Yeah.
his clothing brand. He's got his shoes coming out November 15th, and he gave us a nice encouragement on our socials as well. As we've been encouraging him. Shout out to Whitlock, who actually I sent an email to and gave him some encouragement. And we might not see eye to eye on everything, Whitlock, but I think he's got a purpose and plan for all that he's doing, and I'm excited for what he continues to do to continue to help men be fearless and be real men of God. And one more shout out to it's a pastor. His name's Brian Houston, who's faced much adversity. As some of you may know his story, you can look him up. But as I was able to encourage him, he actually sent some encouraging words to us as well. So Sports Reverends
That's awesome.
is working with some high level people here. So shout outs.
Unite us. I love it.
Let's go.
Unite us, free, fearless, and Mr. Brian Houston. Big shout outs. All right. You guys like, share, and subscribe and get this going.
Peace.
Peace.